We're recording.
Okay, cool.
Actually, guys, I have something that just came up. I have to go. Sorry.
Gotta go, be assholes.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll take it. Okay, quick thing with the website.
This is a huge announcement, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Be excited.
You guys can see that?
Yep.
Yep.
Cool. So, I mean, we've all heard the rumors, the murmurings in the streets. Again, I can't see you guys. This is annoying. Our ears on the ground have informed us of the rather clear message of the people, and we have decided to deliver because that is what we do here at WhosRecords.
You deliver.
What are you talking about?
The 20% discount for our YouTube subscribers is now live.
Oh, boy. Amazing.
So, unfortunately, it is a little convoluted, but basically subscribe to the YouTube, take a screenshot of that, send it to our support team, support@whosrecords.com, and they will get back to you with a 20% discount promo code, limit one per customer. It's right here, but again, it is a little convoluted.
Shout out to the support team.
Yeah, one last thing with the shop. We did add both of our shows at the bottom here, so you can follow along live. You know, it doesn't look the cleanest, but it does update automatically, and then the archive link of episodes will have everything there.
Wow.
Yeah,
Official.
pretty good.
All
right.
So,
we're almost on our 100th episode. It's crazy.
Sorry, I'm going to do this and move this out of the way so I can see you guys. Okay. I think that was it for me. Dan, take it away.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're talking about The Bends, an album by Radiohead. Radiohead being a band that came out of the UK in the early 90s. Everybody's heard the song Creep. Creep kind of gives a good rundown of the band. You know, they're pretty melancholic. They're pretty sad. They got sad boy lyrics. But they have a really talented cast of musicians. You know, I got into Radiohead about a year ago, listening to OK Computer, which a lot of people would say might be their best album. You know, some of their more memorable songs: Paranoid Android, Karma Police, Let Down, Electioneering. All classics of like art rock, Brit pop, you know, late 90s, chugging grunge. But starting with that album, I went back and listened to pretty much all of their albums, like straight through Kid A, you know, even through
Pablo,
but found this album in particular to be one of my favorites.
It's a good one.
Their stuff. Because, yeah, I believe I said in the Mount Rushmore episode that Johnny Greenwood, at that moment in time, I put as my guitarist. And I have to say, what brings me back to this album is his guitar playing. Like, I don't know what you guys think, but in songs like Planet Telex, the opener, The Bends, Bones, Just, My Iron Lung, they have these sick guitar solos.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some different classifications for what a guitar solo can be. Like, Seamus were here, he'd be like, yo, Eddie Van Halen, of course. But he shreds in a different way, you know.
Yeah.
Johnny Greenwood uses a lot of pedal sounds, but I think they're pretty cool, you know. Because this album is mostly driven by like Tom York singing and the guitar playing. Truly,
yeah.
There's some really good drum beats. Like the opener of Planet Telex has that like that bass pedal beat with the guitar. That works really well to open up. Kind of a jammer song. Typical Radiohead lyrics. Like I think all of these, if you look at like the Genius like lyrics page, it's inevitably like something sad about Tom York's life, or just like something depressing about the ending of the world and the environment being destroyed, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of the perfect album for someone like Seamus. Like he would easily get over that like depressing aspect of Radiohead. Like I'm sure he would say he enjoyed the music, but I can't speak for him.
Yeah, I mean none of us can because I don't even think he listened to the album. As of last week when we were supposed to record this originally, the day before I was talking to him, he had not listened to it. So I doubt he ever even listened to it.
Awesome.
I think he said one time he only listens to it like an hour before.
Yeah.
Like, he
I
just
love
didn't
exposing him.
listen
Unless it's an
podcast.
album he picks, then he'll listen to it for.
He's listened to it for years.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
listened to it for years.
Oh man,
Exactly.
Shane's getting roasted without him here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Hey,
can't
that's
defend
what
himself.
happens.
Can't even defend himself.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah. That's what happens when you're not here.
But yeah, I guess
But yeah, he's busy playing soccer, playing the manliest sport imaginable.
that's
Yeah. Well, Dan, what are your MVP and top song and weak part of the album?
Yeah, my favorite song on the album is "Just," which
Great
that was
song.
a song written by Johnny Greenwood, and like I just really like that's probably my favorite guitar part, and I love that Tom York talking about that song was Johnny Greenwood wrote it with the intention of putting as many chords as he could in one song, which is why there's always the ascending and like descending kind of just guitar jamming in that song, and it kind of really works. It's one of Tom York singing on it is one of the better ones. The chorus is like a headbanger, you know. Because if there's one thing I could say I don't really like about the album is there's a bunch of pretty slow songs like Fake Plastic Trees, Nice Dream, Bulletproof, Sulk, Street Spirit. Like they can kind of get a little too slow. And I could do without a few of them, like maybe Sulk I could do without. Fake Plastic Trees could maybe do without, but I like all the songs on this album. I know it's one of their favorites. It's a favorite. I don't know.
All right, I'll go last, so someone else can go.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to follow up on that. So that's kind of what stood out to me, Dan. All the songs you just listed. Let's see, I think this was going to be one of those discussions where I'm just pressing you and asking you the questions because you are the Radiohead guy here, and you are the one who picked Johnny Greenwood. And I after the first listen, I was pretty curious about that. Like, it didn't really come to me, so I think I had the intention to go back and listen after hearing your highlights and what you would point to as his excellent work. But like the songs you just mentioned, Fake Plastic Trees, Sulk, I forget some of the other ones, but it's funny when we were texting earlier, Jack was saying like the sad stoner music. You talked about that as well, Dan, and I didn't think of that first time through, but that's definitely what it is. Sad stoner music, entire album. On my first listen, I was kind of thinking Pink Floyd, that nice, easy acoustic strumming, even High and Dry, really.
Yeah,
Kind of like that Wish You Were Here, The Green Is the Color. So for me, didn't really do it. I was a little confused about the Johnny Greenwood pick still after listening, but
Wow.
I will go back and listen to Planet Telex, Just, all of these things. Maybe pay more attention to the guitar work, the pedals.
Did you have an MVP?
Honestly, and maybe one last thing. I thought, so when I was listening to it, I was like kind of thinking like, what is Dan hearing? Like, why is he picking Johnny Greenwood here? And for me, I thought it was the Street Spirit, kind of like that finger picking that I know you like. So my ears kind of perked up there, but no, it's the solo. It's kind of like the interesting pedal work.
Yeah, like I just think it's kind of innovative. It's a cool, innovative way to use the guitar driving motif in the whole album.
Yeah.
But he still kind of has the same tone throughout the whole album, but it really mixes it up with like a lot of different pedal sounds, different kinds of ways to play, like the warbly tones in some of the songs, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be great if Seamus wasn't playing soccer, because I know he has a pretty good insight into some of the electrical equipment that goes into guitar playing that I just don't have.
Yeah, I definitely don't have it. I have no idea. But Nikki, any other thoughts?
Did you have an MVP and stuff like that? I don't know if you touched on that.
No, not really. So I guess jumping the gun today, but
Wow.
No, yeah, no, I honestly, nothing really stood out. And the sad stoner thing that we were talking about earlier, that's like just the label I put over the entire thing. Unless Dan like really spoke to me here, I was gonna just give it like an average C.
Wow. Interesting. Incredible.
Rating.
Not what I would have expected, but hey.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone. Like it's not for everyone.
Not for everyone, and I don't think I'm everyone as well.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I've had pretty like favorable thoughts on every album we've done, and I definitely feel bad because I know that this is a favorite for some people on this podcast. But yeah, it's just I don't know. It didn't really do it for me. It's just not my taste of music. It's not to say that it's bad or like something wrong with it. It's just not my taste. And
Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, it's just it didn't really do it for me. I really like the Bends, and I really like High and Dry. I mean, High and Dry is like a pretty big chart topper. Everyone knows that song. But I've never listened to the Bends before, like the song, and I thought it was awesome. It was a really cool. So I had like pretty high hopes going into the album after listening to the first 3 songs, and then the rest of it, it kind of brought me to the point that I've had with all of Radiohead music, where I've really tried to get into them for a while, and I've listened to a lot of their albums, but they kind of all just give me the same sound. And it's kind of like what Nigel said with American Idiot, where it all just kind of sounded the same every single song for me. Just like everything, like four and on, except for I kind of like Nice Dream. That stood out for a little bit. I thought that was a good song, but everything else just kind of had the same sound, and it's not really a sound that I like to listen to that much. So I don't know. It didn't really do it for me, except for the Bends and High and Dry. Those are 2 songs I'll listen to again, but the rest of it, I probably won't go back to. But I think objectively, like, it is for what it is, and like for the people who do like this genre of music, which is a lot of people, I think it's like objectively a very good album. I don't have the ear for it. I think my MVP is like the name The Bends. I thought the story behind it was cool, that like after Creep they got like so big, and then they like rose so fast that's like they got like compression, like the bends, when like your pressure around your head changes so much that you get like sick, and that's how they and then they released this album, which I thought was that was really interesting.
Tom York really hated being famous. Like a bunch of the song's lyrics are about hating his newfound fame.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
all
alienated and like sick, and like that's like a whole theme with this album, is just like feeling like sick and just like disgusted and stuff. And I'm like, and so like I appreciate it. It's just, and I understand it's good. It's just not like my taste. So that's my thoughts.
Cool, nice, cool. That was much better formulated than what I was trying to get out, but I think I'm in a similar
boat there. Trashed my take and then said the other
All he did was just
all I said is I'll actually listen to it after I hear Dan talk.
That's fair. I'm kind of disappointed Seamus wasn't here. We had a special guest planned for this album too. Also was not able to make it, which probably would have closer aligned to maybe Dan's take and my take that I'm about to give. But I love this album. I think it's one of the best albums we've listened to so far. So let's start with the first song, Planet Telex. You come in and it's got the guitar with the tremolo, like a really intense tremolo.
I don't even know what that is, man.
The bass drum, the drums, dude.
Yeah, and I think it's 2 guitars with tremoloing at 2 different what do you call it? Beats, essentially. Like I think it's 8th notes and 3rd notes or something like that. So it kind of has this like weird movement to the song, and it actually kind of reminds me of some like weird what is it, like Morrissey stuff. something Morrissey would do, honestly.
Oh man, kind of.
But love the first song. Love the Bends the song as well. Definitely a high point of the album. Just
Yep.
love the it really drives. High and Dry, amazing vocals, Plastic Trees. I'm kind of blanking on what that song sounds like right now, but I know that I really enjoy it. Bones is like way more intense.
Yeah,
Nice
rocky.
Dream kind of like is less intense. It drops off a lot in the energy level, and it's kind of just like melodic and is kind of dreamy. I would say that's one of the weaker points of the album for me. I still like Nice Dreams. I think the weakest song on the album is My Iron Lung. I don't love that song. Uh, it's more hard rockish.
Yeah.
It kind of like goes back and forth between this really soft and really
I don't like
metal.
and they did that a lot.
You do like that, or you don't like
I
that?
don't like when they do that.
Yeah.
It happened a few times, and I thought I was getting like a nice chill song, and then they would go into that kind of similar to what Green Day would do. They did that a lot in American Idiot, where they start soft and then go hard, and sometimes it just kind of throws you off.
I personally like that style of music. Actually, this album reminds me a lot of Nirvana, and it came out a year after what was it? Nevermind.
Yeah.
But it reminds me a lot of Nirvana because Nirvana's really good at dynamics and changing, like going from something slower to something faster, but in a way that isn't in a bad way, that isn't super jarring. And I
Right.
think for the most part, what do you call it? The Bends, the album does that pretty well for me. My Iron Lung would be the exception. I like the slower songs. I think Black Star is an amazing song.
Yeah.
Sulk also. I honestly like almost every song on this album. I don't think there's a bad song in this album. I think that the weakest songs are My Iron Lung and probably Nice Dream, personally. But I don't think there's a song that I would like never listen to again. I might skip My Iron Lung because it kind of just, if there's a song on there to me that just feels like it doesn't need to be there, it's probably My Iron Lung. But like Inky and Dan were saying, I think the guitar is actually pretty interesting. Not necessarily like these crazy riffs that Van Halen play and all this finger tapping, but the melodies that are being written, the counter melodies that are going on, the way they interact with the bass and the drums and the vocals, and also just all the effects. Like I mentioned at the beginning with the tremolo, but the cool reverbs and delays and choruses that are going on, and the way that they go in and out of like this heavy distortion into like this cleaner sound and this more jazzy sound with the chords that they're playing, I think is pretty interesting. And I get what Jack was saying about, or at least I empathize with the idea of like this stuff sounding the same, kind of the way I just shit on the terrible album last week that I'm not even gonna say. But like, I get if it's not a sound you like, then I totally get how like it's just the same thing. It's the same genre of music over and over again, right? Like there's definitely differentiation and there's experimental stuff going on in each song because Radiohead's a pretty experimental band, I would say. But if you don't like that style, I could see how it could feel
Repetitive.
monotonous in that way. Yeah. For me, the biggest differentiation, at least for the Green Day album, was like there's nothing interesting. They're not changing anything really each time, and I'm not gonna harp on it too much, but it's there's not a lot of variation in the way that things are being, like the song construction in each song versus in this album.
Sure.
Like the songs,
Variation.
yeah, the songs are pretty different. Even though like they could be slow or soft, a lot of the songs are slower or softer. It's like if you listen to the instrumentation or the vocals, like there's usually something that's being played with or experimented with. in each song. Yeah, I don't know if I have too much more. I mean, I think the best song in the album, or the MVP for me, it's probably between Black Star and the Bends. Um, Both are really great songs. I don't know what the singles are, but a lot of those songs on this album were singles, and did really well in the UK. Didn't do quite as well in the US.
Mm.
Um,
I think the biggest single was Street Spirit. I might
Really?
be wrong, but they released like Street Spirit, Flake Plastic Trees, High and Dry, and I think Just.
I know My Iron Lung was, I think, the first single they released. It was either the first single they released for the album or the biggest one. I don't remember.
They did release.
Um,
You're right.
But a lot of the songs were released as singles.
Yeah, because people really love this album. It like really kind of solidified Radiohead at that point as like a premium art rock band, you know.
Yeah, it's not just one hit wonders with Creep,
Yeah.
which I think Creep's a great song too. But you know, this kind of cemented them as, oh, we're a band that can write music, and we're not just gonna have this one hit that defines us, I guess.
Yeah, like without this album, you don't get OK Computer, you don't get In Rainbows, you don't get Kid A, and like they really Radiohead kind of changes in like the 2000s, late 90s, you know, or early 2000s with Kid A. Some people don't like that. Some people do like that.
I like the really weird cover art. I don't know if you can scroll up, whoever's sharing. But I read that it was like essentially it's a CPR dummy. It's supposed to be like an android first experiencing like ecstasy or something.
Yeah, art rock band. These kind of guys.
Interesting fact about the Bends, like the actual phenomenon. Just because, why not? It's like if you go diving, your body like naturally pressurizes itself internally to account for the extra pressure of being under, you know, thousands of gallons or liters of water. And then when you come up, the surroundings decompress faster than your body does, you're faster than your body is able to adapt if you come up too quickly. So like your blood will decompress and like boil, and it'll kill you. Also makes you like super sick.
And that's what happened to all of them.
So that happened to who?
This is what happened to Radiohead after.
Oh yeah.
They all suffered from the Bends.
Yeah, the high rise of fame. They just couldn't take it.
I love it. It's a new new installment. Science Corner with Nigel.
Yeah, we're going to be breaking down the scientific. Yeah, you guys have ever heard of bones before? They're actually these things in your body give you structure or something.
Okay.
Or something.
Yep. Planet Telex is another name for the Earth.
That was a great overview, though, Nigel. I think that was well said, and I thought it was a good distinction between American Idiot last week when you were talking about kind of that homogenous sound throughout the album, but this one being, you know, there is a little bit more interest in there, which I think is undeniable.
Yeah. Johnny Greenwood's guitar does cover a lot of ground, you know. You start with some hard rock, and you find in a song like Nice Dream, he's doing some ornamental work behind like Tom York's voice. You just get a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, I think it's in Nice Dreams. There's like this arpeggiated guitar in the background that you can't really hear unless you really pay attention. And the first time I heard it, I was like, I love that. There's like this up and down melody, and it's kind of really hard to hear at certain points. And I remember the first time I heard it, I couldn't tell if I was like imagining it, and then it becomes a little more prominent later on in the song. But yeah, there's just a lot of layering and movement, a little bit like behind the scenes, I guess, in the songs, if you could describe it that way, to where it adds texture if you're not paying attention, and if you are paying attention, you can kind of like pick these things out and be like, oh, that's interesting. Like that's kind of giving more atmosphere to the main melody or bass line of the song. Yeah. But that's all I got. That's all I got.
I like that take. I'm a fan of that take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God for you guys who know what you're
Yeah,
talking
man.
about.
I was
Nice.
gonna
It's
say,
not just going to get relegated to a C. Dope.
it's kind of interesting
Yeah.
how it shakes out. It's like the two less musically inclined people are kind of have the more negative opinions. And if you do have that really intentional year and kind of pick these things out, there is a lot there for you.
Yeah, it makes so it's a musician's album.
Yeah, perhaps.
It's too bad it's gonna be a C. That just sucks.
You know what I would say in the same way that with American Idiot, like some of those songs I like, but it's just for me personally like impossible to listen through that whole album. It just gets so like fatiguing on the ear. Like I would say if this isn't your style of music normally, I wouldn't listen to the whole album. I would just like pick like if you just listen to Black Star or Bones or the Bends or something one off, like I feel like it can be way more digestible for someone who isn't into this genre of music.
Yeah. I wouldn't even say that's a good point. And I think that's probably what I will do. I don't think it's like an exhausting album to me. It's just a little kind of like boring. Like, I don't know. When I get toward like the B side, as you call it, I don't know. I just kind of like it. I'm checking the time, like one of those albums. But it's got some good stuff at the beginning. I'll give it that. So, in any event, where does it land?
Where does it land?
This is one big compromise. This one.
I know.
Yeah.
I need to think about it because I don't know where I'd put it.
I'd be interested if. Oh, I'll say I think it averages out to. It's probably going to average out to a B, and I'd be happy. And I think it has to go above the Green Day album just because from what we've been talking about. But I'd be interested if Nigel or Dan would put it in an S.
That's the thing. Like in my top Radiohead albums, it's like it's this and OK Computer. And I think like if we talked about OK Computer and like Seamus and Will might have been here or something to talk it up, that could be an S. And like I think the Bends in some ways is a little bit better than OK Computer, So like in my mind, it could be an S. I really love this album. It's one I like always go straight through. Like I don't skip a song. I always listen to it when I listen to it.
Nice.
At least
I
think it's better than London Calling for sure.
Yeah,
and it would be a conversation with everything in A.
I think
A. That's why
it's definitely a hard decision, and I for the most part agree with Dan. I think the biggest thing is like to keep in mind like this isn't just a rating of rock music essentially. I mean, of course, there's Mad Villain up there, but it's good rock music. So C isn't really average, or B isn't really average. It's average amongst good, good music.
Fair point. Yeah.
Free to make that distinction.
Good point.
But this album, I would have to listen to OK Computer again, like as thoroughly as I did for this album, because I listened to this album so many times in the past, like honestly, like 3 weeks probably.
Yeah.
But this album's definitely an A for me. I don't know where in A. It's really hard to compare it to Mad Villainy.
Yeah. That's a tough
Kind of
comparison.
screwed ourselves adding that one, but I love it.
I think it is. It's close for Men at Work and Rubber Soul where it stands, but it's definitely a high A for me. But I think even though those are below Mad Villainy, I think at least the Men at Work album is a solid A. So I don't know where in A it sits for me, but definitely an A.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Jack, but I'd be pretty happy more heavily weighting Nigel and Jack's opinion and Nigel and Dan's opinion and throwing it at the bottom of A.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think it goes after and through the outdoor. But
yeah, same.
I don't know if that's necessarily fair to the big fans here. I would go. Yeah, I would go bottom of A or top of B. I would do bottom of A.
Now that you say top of B, I think that might be more representative, though.
Yeah, I mean, like
It's
that
really
does
better than everything else in B, at a minimum.
fair.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
And
Yeah,
I would
what's
put
that?
it up against the stuff in A. Is why I'm saying
Right.
it would be at least like bottom. I would put it up against it.
Hey, we haven't talked about Led Zeppelin once in this show. That's
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's a first until now.
Oh, really? It must be Seamus.
especially.
Seamus has
Third
got
rip
to
on
be
this episode.
I
Man,
can't.
I can't wait for Seamus to come back and see this album above American Idiot and just be so mad.
No, even though we all agreed that it's miles ahead of American Idiot, I think I'm good with that.
I mean, what exactly is the difference between bottom of A and top of B? I guess because there's nothing between those spots.
Right.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's
A
just going to be
perception
whatever the next song that we find in between those,
Yeah,
or the next album. I mean,
yeah.
Nigel, I think I'll leave it to you then. Top of A versus bottom of A versus top of B.
I'd put it at the bottom of A.
Let's do it.
There you have it, folks.
Wow, an A album.
An A
Yeah,
album.
album. It's
There it goes.
it feels good to see it up there.
And
It's a good one.
Stone and in our tier list.
Yeah.
And thank God you guys are here and knew what you're talking about, man. This would have just been a horribly awry take.
I heard Inkies and Jacks, and I was like, I'm pretty sure Nigel said he liked this, so I hope I'm right. Otherwise, I'm like, shit.
No, I mean I like Radiohead and coming into the week, or I guess when we were supposed to do it like last week, I hadn't listened to this album all the way through, and when I did, I was like pleasantly surprised because I'm a fan of other Radiohead stuff, and I was like, wow, this is their older stuff too. I'm more familiar with their subsequent work, and I was like, this is more grungy, more rocky, honestly. And I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. After listening through all their albums, this is really the one I come back to the most.
Yes. Next week. What's next week, Jack?
Ooh.
I don't know because I'm not sure if I'll be able to attend for the next three.
And where are you? Why?
Throwing my
Don't say it. Not on the internet.
I mean, he can edit it out.
Undisclosed vacation
Off
location.
the grid.
no, we're headed to Canada next Friday.
God damn it.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll have Wi-Fi. I just don't know if I'm gonna want to sit at the computer. Is the thing. But if it's a good album, I will do it.
I think I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything, but I think we decided that it was going to be a Chili Peppers album. So
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
we were talking about
I
that
have
earlier.
Spotify up on my other screen, looking through the discography right now, thinking of what I want to pick.
one of their
Yeah,
10 million songs.
I don't know like what I'll be doing that day if we do that day. I mean, it's not like I'll be super far from my computer because we're at the house probably, but we'll say I'm making it. I'll be on Eastern time. So in any event, if we did a Chili Peppers album, there's a lot of good choices. And I'm having a tough time picking. I was thinking By the Way would be a good one. It's like I feel like everyone here likes the Chili Peppers. I feel like that's like a solid album that's like pretty palatable for a lot of people. I would do Stadium Arcadium, but it's pretty long. Like it's a long.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
Californication was also up there. That's a great album. I was also thinking like, what if we did one of the early albums like Mother's Milk or Uplift Mofo Party Plan? I think those probably won't rank as high because they're kind of like It's kind of like the Bends, where like if you like that sound, then you like this album, but if you don't, then you don't. Like the early stuff is super like raw punk music.
Yeah.
Funk.
Might be a good place to start, though. I don't know.
It could be cool to start from the self-titled and go up. But that's a lot of albums.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we're actually an exclusively Red Hot Chili Peppers album review.
Hard
Changing
pivot.
it up.
At least until we run out of albums. So probably till 2035.
We got a couple. We got more than a couple here.
Oh God, yeah. So I don't know. What do you guys think? What would you want to do if we did Chili Peppers album?
I think it would be fun to do earlier stuff because I don't know a lot of that.
Yeah, I would say the same. Like I don't even know like too much of like most of their music. I really know Californication and like Stadium Arcadium mostly. So I'd be interested to check out something that I wouldn't have listened to before.
I think a good like compromise of early stuff, but early stuff that like I think you guys would like would be Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going. But
yeah, that's like such a sick album, man. It's so good. You know, when I first heard this album, I was at Luke Curry's house because his dad had it on CD.
sweet.
Amazing. Man.
I haven't talked to Luke Curry in just, I don't know, 10 years, but
I feel like my watch for that one.
but I remember his dad had this on CD, which was cool.
Baller.
I would do Blood Sugar Sex Magic, and that means I get to listen to it on the drive up to Canada, which is awesome. So yeah, I'm down for that.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll do that for our plan A, and then if you got something going on that Sunday, we can find a backup.
Okay.
Maybe that
Seals
Seals
and
and Croft.
Croft
Airplane.
or Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah, that Seals and Croft or Jefferson Airplane. We've
Oh,
got
the
both of
Seals and
those on the
Croft
docket.
is an amazing album. So if you're ready for an S album, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, we'll leave that as the backup option there.
Cool.
All right.
Between
Good
those.
one. Good one.
Inky, by the way, I
Try
finished that RFK Stadium show before I even listened to the Bends, that 4 hour and 40-minute show.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, before I even got to the Bends.
I need to do an episode on that.
Yeah, well, we got another podcast for that.
Yeah. I'm on. What am I on? I think I'm on Road Jimmy.
I actually
So
skipped
quarter of the way through.
It Takes a Lot to Laugh. It Takes a Train to Cry, and that's all right. Just because I was on a run, and those are really slow songs, so I got to go back and listen to them. It's like 20 minutes of music. But yeah, good show if you guys are looking for an awesome Dead show. They just released a new one on Spotify. RFK Stadium in DC in 1973. Fun fact: the Allman Brothers come on stage with them and play a ton of their songs with them, and it's
Wow.
really cool.
That's
There's like
awesome.
there's like a 20-minute Dark Star, one of their songs, which is usually like a super jammy, like dark song.
No lyrics.
Yeah, and like pretty much no lyrics.
Very, very little. Yeah.
Very little, really weird, ominous lyrics. But in the middle of it, it sounds like Mountain Jam or like Blue Sky or something. Like they just totally different direction. Really cool. So
Awesome.
it's
Can't
a
wait to go
4 hour,
there.
40-minute show, which is insane that they played a show that long. So it's kind of an ordeal, but it's really, really good. So if you're interested, it's there. Anyways, good episode. I'm glad we had
Yeah, that was a fun one.
some people who knew, and I learned a lot. That's for sure. And I think
Yeah,
our
same.
listeners will.
I have
Thank you,
one other
guys.
fun Johnny Greenwood fact. He's done like a bunch
for
of movie soundtracks, and if you know the movie There Will Be Blood with like Daniel Day-Lewis,
Yeah.
he did the soundtrack for that movie.
Really?
Yeah,
That's sweet.
That's
you
awesome.
should go back and watch the movie and pay attention to the music.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
will.
Yeah, for sure.
This is Johnny Greenwood. What?
And that's a phenomenal movie. Oh my
I
god,
know.
what a film!
Primo.
So that's really interesting. I'm gonna definitely have to listen to that. Cool.
All right.
Well,
Great episode.
Yeah.
Had
Thanks,
a
guys.
great time.
Yeah. We'll see you next week.
All right, lads. Take it easy.
Take it
Yeah,
easy.
See ya.